Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another video here, another different format here. It's just the webcam basically, just me talking, and I've got some props I'll bring up on the screen in a second here, don't worry. But yeah, hope you all having a good day here. Just start off with that. And I just want to say I'm appreciative of all the support the channel's received as of late, both on the long form content and the shorts. I'm really appreciative of all the views I've been getting recently in the past month or so. And really since I've been back for the past few months here, all the subscribes, all the likes, all the comments, all the views, it's really appreciative. And I encourage you to, if you enjoy my content, you enjoy my channel, I inform or entertain you at all somewhat, or you like my takes and my content I put out, definitely like and subscribe. It definitely helps out the channel, and I can't put in the words how much it helps the channel, and I appreciate it. So just wanted to say that. But yeah, for this video, the reason we're doing this format is just I'm trying to experiment with this. We have yet another uh, weapons of video games series here. We've already done one with the Car 98K and my kind of reproduction of that or whatever, or the rebuild. Today, as you can see from the video and me holding it up earlier there, we have a Mosin, one of the most iconic weapons in world history, particularly again because of its association with World War II here. We're going to be doing a video on the Russian firearm, the Mosin Nagant M91 30. I'm just kind of blocking my mouth. It's kind of weird, but yeah, the Russian, battle rifle that served them throughout the entirety of World War II as like really the main kind of stay battle rifle for the Red Army here. And Mosin Nagants, these have been around for a while, not even with the Red Army, but also earlier models and stuff with the White Army and the Russian Empire. And we're seeing some of these even get pulled out in modern day, it was just crazy to see, especially when you own one like this, a piece of history in the Russo, Russian Ukraine war there. So it's definitely seen its fair share of history here. Gonna kind of go over what makes this gun a little unique, the one in my collection here, but overall just kind of give some descriptive features of it, some video games that it's been in, and what games it gets in, and kind of the history behind it here. So just hopping into this right now. If you're a big video game person, if you're a big shooter person, if you're a big history person, this is a gun that is probably immediately recognizable to you and you're very familiar with. The reason being for that, again, any gun associated with World War II, especially that a major power used, is going to be a very famous firearm. It's going to be very iconic in both movies and video games and in pop culture and literature. And the Mosin Nagant is a great example of that. It's the Russian, again, the Red Army. This was their main battle rifle. They had other guns, of course, and they had more specialized guns, of course. But this was kind of the mainstay of the Red Army for, a good solid, couple decades there at least. Obviously serving them in the biggest war in human history, which is why it gets a lot of publicity here. Um, but yeah, it's a fine gun. Part of the reason I like collecting old weapons like this, I love new guns. I love all type of weapons. Really, I'm just kind of a nut like that and a nerd like that. But the history buff in me really likes this because of the history behind it. My particular one, uh, try to show you the receiver hexagonal, which is a kind of somewhat distinctive feature there. If it'll actually show up here, again, it's kind of unwieldy. It's a long rifle, as you can tell. If it would focus there, you can see, regardless of whether you'll ever be able to see that, mine, it has some Soviet markings and Tula markings. Tula was the factory that this one was made in. There's a few factories throughout the Soviet Union that these were really made and repurposed in, and that's where mine was. Mine was made in 1927. If you could see that there, I don't know if there's obviously Russian lettering, but the 1927 is in the words there, as well as the hammer and sickle, which I think is really cool to have something stamped on a gun and have a piece of history from an empire or a country that technically doesn't really exist anymore. It'd be like having a piece of history from the Ottoman Empire. I think that'd be really cool too. But that's part of the reason I really like collecting this stuff. It's a piece of history. But this was made in 1927. This is an ex-dragoon, which essentially what that means is this was an older rifle that was pre-war and the M91 30 kind of remodel that they did in 1931, I believe. So this was brought up to the M91 30 specs later on after it was produced in 1927, uh, probably for the war, arming up for the conflict, of course. So yeah, This gun is pretty old. It's coming up on 100 years old, which is crazy to think about. Still fires perfectly well. I fired this gun actually. It still works well. It's a little, hard hitting as well as, I don't say rough, but it's a Mosin. They get a bad rep. They're pretty accurate guns. They're good guns. They work just as well as any other gun, really. And they're a lot cheaper if you're interested in getting into milsurp. So I get a bad rep as sewer pipes and everything, because Russians generally didn't take care of their weapons either purposefully or because of the circumstances they were in. Obviously, as a lot of other countries, especially Allied countries. But this one, pretty good condition. Obviously, I got this at a gun show, but regardless, that's kind of some of the history on the gun. It served in World War II as its main thing. It's a Russian battle rifle for the Red Army here. This was made in 1927. So some distinctive features of this rifle from a lot of other kind of wooden battle rifles of the time, like the Kar 98K, the M1 Garand or Garand, however you pronounce it, the Lee Enfield, stuff like that. So some distinctive features of the Mosin. The one that really, a few that really stick out to me whenever I look at a Mosin, obviously the kind of magazine, the hanging magazine clip here, with that goes into the trigger guard here, obviously. Pretty distinctive. It's got a pretty distinctive, like kind of curved hanging box magazine look. That hangs down there. Obviously internal, you can't like remove this unless you unscrew everything and everything. But there is a bottom plate here actually that's rather easy to remove if you just unhook this latch here. Or do you go forward with it? I can't remember. I'm looking like inexperienced. This is embarrassing. Even though I have done this before, so I just can't remember at the time. But regardless of my, oh, I had it for a second. I don't know what. There we go. It does come undone there if you just unhatch a little look, and that's the internals of the magazine there. Obviously, clips right back into place pretty easily there. Beyond the magazine clip and the trigger guard, that's pretty iconic with this. Obviously, it's a long mostly wooden rifle. That's another distinctive feature. Another distinctive feature, it's got a hexagon metal receiver there. Obviously, it's kind of hard to see from there. Obviously, it's got a sights that's adjustable out to 2,000 meters. I think it's meters. Some of these early ones were made in like these weird Russian units, but I believe this sight right here was made in meters, all the way out to 2,000 meters, and it's adjustable, of course. The front sight is just a little kind of V notch there. It's kind of hard to show that, but the front sights, if I point my gun at you, it's just a little rod, just a little line there that you line up, obviously with the backside V notch. It's got a little hood over it. Not all of them have the hoods over it, but most do. This is the barrel, obviously, and this is a cleaning rod, actually. That kind of looks like a ramrod on like muskets and stuff. If you take a look here, that's another distinctive feature how they do that. This is a cleaning rod. It's not complete or anything. I don't have all the pieces for it, but this is a cleaning rod. It kind of just stores away at the bottom of the gun there. Probably staining up my white shirt. That's probably shouldn't be doing this. It needs a cleaning. But yeah, that's a cleaning rod right there. So it's got that, which is cool. Some other distinctive features is the straight bolt, and what straight bolt means is it's not like curved down to the bottom like a lot of World War II era, around that time era rifles are. This is just straight out to the side, obviously pops up like every other rifle, and then you pull it back, load it. That's how cycle the rounds in your magazine. Another thing that I don't see on a ton of bolt action guns, is it's kind of like a two hitch. I hope it is. I hope it's not just my poor gun cleaning skills. But you kind of undo it like that. But this isn't a position where you can pull it back. You have an additional position and click there, and then you can pull it back. So that's a pretty unique feature, hopefully, not just my gun being bad. Um, Another thing here, the safety, this kind of like rounded circle safety, that's another distinctive thing that I think of as an M9130 thing. Essentially, how you do this safety, it's not very good. Most people tend not to actually use it, and they are very stiff and like hard to pull back and everything on a lot of these old Mosins, just because they haven't been kept up in good condition, and you have to really oil it and clean it pretty well, which I haven't. I've cleaned it, but I haven't really oiled it up as much as I should. No Diddy, but so it's kind of a circular thing here, and you kind of essentially pull this back to essentially pull this back. As you can see the movement there, hopefully a little kind of, but you essentially, I'm trying to kind of show this as much as I can, but you pull this back. God, it's hard to show and like not completely block it with my fingers is the problem. Oh God. I need to like raise my knee or something. But essentially here, it doesn't even, I'm pulling regardless. But you pull that back, if you can see the movement there at all, you see that, and then you essentially go to the side there, and that essentially stops the bolt from cycling, and you're not able to actually like fire your gun. So that's the safety. Um, Again, most people don't use this because of how annoying it is to get in and out of, and how stiff it is, including on mine. Most people's safety, like in most guns, even if it does have a safety, right here. Don't fucking put your finger in the trigger guard or pull the trigger before you're supposed to cycle or you're supposed to fire around. Or a lot of people just leave the gun, you know, with the bolt back. That also works because obviously you can't fire around if it didn't cycle into the chamber. So yeah, that's some distinctive features of the Mosin. Obviously, you'll have some hammer and sickles, which is also, and some Russian lettering and stuff, which is a pretty big tell as well. It's got like a lot of rifles at the time, a metal backplate here. This wasn't sporterized, thankfully. It wasn't touched like that, and like reproduced in modern times. Because people do use these in modern times, and people do hunt with them in modern times still. But yeah, that's kind of the distinctive features there. The Mosin, kind of what makes it a Mosin, and kind of showing off the gun there. Again, this is a full kind of side view of the gun there, straight on and on the back. That's kind of the Mosin there. As for ammo and what it shoots, what actually goes into that magazine, I've been showing off for a while here. Which side is this? Yeah. Shoots these bad boys. There's only a few in this box, that's why I was making sure my ammo wasn't spilling out. This obviously isn't surplus. There's a lot of surplus ammunition on the market that's cheaper than this, honestly, but maybe isn't as good quality. Obviously, I have some surplus ammo, but I just wanted to show some like new nice ammo in box and everything. But that is what the Mosin Nagant shoots there. It's the 7.62 by 54R. Pretty famous Russian round, obviously. Um, to show off an actual round, because as you can see, I actually have a cartridge in here. Cool. So I have a fired and unfired ones in here, so that works out well. But I'll just show the fired one first, or the unfired one first, obviously. This is the round that shoots out of here. The 7.62 by 54R. This is that round that goes into the gun and fires with it. Pretty iconic cartridge. Obviously not of the time or anything, or like surplus, but this is brand new, or not brand new, but new ammunition. That's what, I guess, for some scale, from the bottom of my palm. I have somewhat big hands, obviously, but from the bottom of my palm, that's kind of where it comes up to, kind of up to like my, you know, ball joints there. So fairly large cartridge there. Just kind of give you some perspective. It's like about the size of my thumb, honestly. Fairly powerful cartridge, has a lot of stopping power, obviously. Not unpleasant to shoot, even though it's a bigger cartridge with a metal backstop or anything. There is recoil to it, and does punch harder than a lot of modern guns with smaller cartridges. But it's not unpleasant to shoot by any means. So that's that. This is the cartridge. What happens when you fire the round? That's what obviously the bullet's not in there anymore. Hopefully there's not any powder in here or anything too. But firing pin dented. That's what the cartridge looks like after it's fired without the bullet in it. It's still pretty big, so it gives you an idea of what's packing in there. So yeah, that's the ammo. That's kind of the gun. That's kind of the distinctive features. Now, kind of to wrap it up, what games has it been in? Because the whole thing is like showing off, obviously showcasing guns that have been in video games and kind of giving you a tour around them and everything, kind of showing them off and their ammunition and everything. But what games has it actually been in? Like, why do you care? Well, it's been in, obviously, with the period of serving in World War II. Really, any World War II video game, especially since virtually all of them include the Russians. I include this. Any World War II video game that includes the Russian is really going to include this. You can't really get around it that way. Any game in World War II with the Russians will have this. So you'll see a lot of really good depictions, really accurate depictions of particular Mosins In some of the more like milsim games that have been kind of in recent history here popping up, like Hell Let Loose, for example, is a really good example of one. You'll see some really good and accurate depictions of the Mosin here. Obviously, there's different models of the Mosin, but you'll see some very good depictions of both this and the sniper variant. So yeah, those are games, and even arcade style games like Call of Duty or Battlefield. Obviously, they have very close knit histories with World War II, and that's where those series, a lot of these shooter series got their start. So games like Call of Duty, games like Battlefield. These are games that obviously have World War II games. This is where you're going to see the Mosins. That's where you're able to play with the Mosins. Obviously, a game like Hell Let Loose, that's newer. On top of the fact that it's more realistic, is going to have slightly better depictions by and large of the Mosin. But all of them have, in their own right, a pretty fairly good, depiction and I guess showing of the Mosin Nagant M91 there. So those are the games you're really going to see it in. Anything World War II, obviously. But yeah, pretty legendary gun here. I guess I can show you the operation one more time. Essentially, bolt up in the spot, pull back, push forward to the right. That looks kind of clumsy because I'm trying to like show it here. And when you're ready to fire, aim down the sights like so. Line up the fronts, kind of the. I'll show you later. But once that's there, once you're lined up, you pull the trigger, it fires. Eject cartridge, load a new one, and you're back. So yeah, that's the operation. That's how you use it. The sights, again, it's got a back V notch in the sights right here. It's really small, kind of hard to see. The front sight's obviously a hooded kind of striker there. Essentially, line this V notch up with the top of that little line that goes up in the hood there. Whatever that's looking at, you're going to put a hole in essentially. So yeah, that's how to kind of operate the gun. And yeah, I know I didn't have any gameplay footage of this just because some production stuff is coming soon. Actually, I just got a new capture card recently in the mail, so I'm trying to figure that out and hopefully be able to get some, Xbox because that's where I play all my shooter games and stuff. Get some footage of these for future videos. So hopefully that'll come soon. And I know I'm out at the range. I was thinking about maybe recording at the range and like splicing some stuff in here, but I just figured, I kind of showcase the gun and talk about it. So yeah, that's it for the Mosin Nagant M91 kind of gun showcase and the guns of video and the weapons of video games there. So yeah, comment down below what questions you have or any thoughts you have on that. If anything you want to see in these videos or any questions you have about the gun or what you think about the gun in general in video games or in real life. If you enjoyed the content or were informed by this and thought it was kind of cool, I encourage you to like the video. Your viewership is always appreciated, of course, and subscribe if you like the channel and the video here. More of this will come, and yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day here, and I'll see you guys in the next video.